This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa. You're not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Welcome to Rat Castle, a progressive chat about Disney magic without the pixie dust. I'm Nathan Hartman, and with me tonight are Dave.
Hello.
Hello, Dave. Sarah.
Hi.
And last but not least, Victoria.
Good evening.
And those are our normal panelists. Janine, sadly, is not with us. She's unable to make it tonight. But we have a very, very special guest with us, joining us to chat about all things theme park. You may know him from Rooster Teeth's Achievement Hunter or his very own theme park podcast, Annual Pass. It's Jack Pattillo.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, Jack. Jack, and of course, for those listeners who know, Jack joined Dave and I to ride Cosmic Rewind when Annual Pass had a show in Orlando. So we had a nice, I'd say hour and a half, 2 hour chat about theme parks in the queue. We should have just done a whole podcast in the queue because there's plenty of time.
When the ride went down too, we were stuck in that part of the queue for a while. Yeah, we were about 7 people away from the front of the line and to get to the pre-show, and they shut it down. But that was after the monsoon. Don't forget the monsoon we waded through to get inside.
Yeah.
We were drowned rats in that one. the rats were drowned.
Yeah. So it was a literal downpour, Florida downpour at its best. But normally you would just scatter away and go into Connect. Everyone was in Connections Cafe, but we could not because we needed to get in the line. And so, Dave, did you had something? You had a poncho of some sort, I believe.
No,
you had no poncho?
It just drenched my shirt.
For some reason, I thought you had a poncho.
To the core.
I
was rocking a poncho.
Jack had a poncho.
Jack was.
And so you're absolutely right. Dave and I looked like wet rats, and then Jack comes up, meeting us in the flesh for the first time, and we definitely looked like wet rats. We were so drenched. I remember asking, because Dave, of course, had a conversation with some industry folks to get us on the ride, and I remember turning to you, Dave, and I said, Dave, can't you pull a I know somebody card? Why am I standing in this line getting drenched? And you're like, oh, maybe I can. And it still didn't help. We still ended up getting absolutely. I literally entered the building and took off my shirt off my back
to wring it out.
Wrung it out next to the trash can.
Same.
Which
in front of all the tourists in line, I'm like, here's my belly.
Here it is. Here it is.
It's a show of dominance, really, when you do that in an attraction. So
yeah. I mean,
just look him in the eye while you take it off. Right?
For me, it was tradition. I took my shirt off every time I went on Ellen's. It was just a tradition for me. So.
Well, the great thing was, too, is when Dave, you managed to get us to the front of the line. And as we got there, one of the guys working the area to let you in, he actually recognized me. And he's like, oh, hey, I'm a big fan. I'm like, why didn't you reach out? I would have loved to have gotten in without having to beg other people. But anyway, it worked out pretty well for us. Yeah. And then we looked into a second ride. As we were leaving, they were cutting off the line. No one was going in. And the lady who let us in the first time was like, hey, you want to go again? Yeah, she kind of nodded us in. It was great. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we're over here, just humble bragging. But that was the time we finally got to meet Jack, and it was great. And he was of course, Dave was on the Annual Pass podcast, which you should definitely listen to that episode when it comes out. And or no, it's out, right? I believe. Well, or not yet.
He was on one of our earlier ones.
Correct.
But he was part of our live show we did in Orlando, which was the very first live show. We're saving that one. We're going to release it at some point. It's not out yet though, but it'll hopefully be out later this year. Yeah,
it's a special one, people. So
and a bunch of other content too, right? Yeah, a bunch of TikToks and video and we shot a ton of stuff in the park. So my producer and I and my wife Katie, we had all been going around the parks filming a bunch of stuff to do stuff for our YouTube channel, youtube.com/annual pass, and also TikTok content, which is we're Annual Pass Pod on TikTok right now, but we might be changing to annual_pass. Someone parked it and we're trying to get a hold of it. Anyway, it's a whole process. And but yeah, we shot a bunch of video, you and I and Ben, and we got to go around Volcano Bay, which I'd never been before, and that was a really fun time. And that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was before. I think that was before the show that night too, so it was even better.
Yeah, there's some good ride photos of Dave on a slide. They're very they're very worth seeing.
Yeah, seeing more of me than you probably want to. It was sort of like Annual Pass after dark, right? Except it was early in the morning, so I don't know how that works. Except it was early morning, right? And we had a good time though. That was fun.
Let's begin with where should we start? Let's start in good old Florida land. And it's really about who's not coming to Florida just yet. Dave, you have some news about that, don't you?
Yeah, we heard this week that at an all hands on deck meeting at the company, at the Walt Disney Company, that the move that was pending to Lake Nona for all of Imagineering in 2023 has now been delayed to 2026. And a lot of employees are upset because they were already searching for homes, or they already sold their California homes. I mean, yeah, it's kind of it's absolutely unbelievably aggravating for anybody in the industry for that kind of whiplash. But I cannot say I'm surprised. But the jury's still out on why they're doing it. Is it just because the construction's late, or is it they're rethinking things after the whole hubbub with the state, and what's it called, Reedy Creek? Like, is it related to that? Maybe. I don't really know. I can't figure out, other than it might be all of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be simply that Lake Nona is just not going to get done in time, and that's it. And it could be that simple. Either way, maybe know that you're going to have the place that people need to live done before you start saying you're either going to need to move or we're going to let you go. I think
that would help.
Yeah, I think there's something to like. Congrats, Disney. You like, there's excellent Imagineers, people that have done amazing work. I don't mind saying it because they said it on Twitter, but like Kevin Lively's gone, and several others who were sort of making their own kind of stamp on stuff, and they didn't want to make the move, and so they've already left. And Disney's now, kind of stuck back in California with less staff, and no one's gonna want to like take the job they know is gonna move. So it's boy
howdy. I mean, the institutional knowledge loss was that alone was a problem.
Yeah, it was Universal's gain.
Right, exactly. Epic Universe is gonna get all this great talent, but like it's pretty unbelievable how deep that cut went. I mean, I still have friends reeling from it, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, you said that it was good. It's been delayed till 2026. So I can't imagine there's a 3-year delay. It's like it's not like they didn't get everything in. They didn't get enough wood or something. So it has to be more than just, it's not going to be done. All right.
Yeah. Right. It's like, concrete. We got the cheapest concrete we could, Mr. Chapek. It's going to set in about 4 years kind of.
I mean, yeah, if it was a supply chain issue, it would be like, okay, maybe 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
But it's not a transition, at least. Some people.
Yeah, right. 3 years is just that's a pretty big jump, kind of arbitrarily.
I just never understood why they couldn't like have split them. Like, why couldn't just some people stay in Florida and some just stayed like in Burbank or Glendale or wherever they were over here?
You mean like they've always done it? Like that's
like I just didn't understand like the move. Like, it's kind of like when your employer is telling you to go back to the office, but you're just kind of like not really understanding why. There's not really a good reason as to why. So I'm kind of just happy that they kind of went out this way.
There is precedent only because Universal did it first, right? Universal Creative used to be all out here, and about the time I left from finishing Men in Black was when they made Universal Creative a Orlando centric, but with both companies, there's always been Imagineering offices in Florida. It's not like they're not there. It's just the move of everything that's a huge deal.
Yeah. And like, weirdly, I don't hate the concept. My thing is just from a concept, like, there's a place with 2 parks and then there's a place with 4 parks. Where should people work? And again, that's apocryphal to some, like it's like there's no good reason for it to some people. And I totally understand those that don't want to move. So you start some sort of, and I think Dave would probably attest to the fact that there's a cultural difference between California and Florida and how people operate. Maybe when they're not as close to actual, Disney corporate. And
well, I think Universal being out there since 2000 or 2001 or so.
Yeah.
There's a lot more talent acquisition going on anyway,
Mhm.
and all the universities that feed into this industry, all the programs that feed into it have already been doing that for Universal. So getting talent, I don't think would have been the problem. I
No.
actually think that would have been fine. It really is, they lost a bunch, and
Mhm.
and Universal didn't lose a bunch because they didn't quite have the same institutional knowledge that Disney did.
Yeah.
So
They didn't necessarily have a bunch in the same way
right
either. Yeah.
right in the same way, right? And there are long-term people there, trust me, like Mark
Sure.
Woodbury's been there forever, but it's just a different animal entirely. And so that loss of, you know, the model shop and R&D and these people there are certain people that had been there for 30, 40 years, and corporately they're just checked off their box that, oh, we get to save that money. And it's like, wait, this is more than just the paycheck that they're getting.
Yeah.
What you guys do is so specialized. And from what I've heard from friends is that so much of what's built for the Disney parks now is concepted by Imagineering and somewhat engineered by Imagineering and designed. It really is where the rubber hits the road, is with third-party vendors and
Right.
scenic companies and effects companies and stuff. And so what I've heard is they looked at it and went, you know what, these people can figure this stuff out too, and it's less risk. So it's exactly the corporate decision you think it is. It's not just cutting money in taxes and gaining some tax credits by being in Orlando, but also like the way the industry has worked for the last 20 or 30 years has not been this secret little tank of people. It's just that's not how any of the big projects since probably mid-90s have happened, to be honest.
Well, Dave, do you know of any like poaching from like any of the other parks, like SeaWorld, Universal? Are they just going after? I mean, I imagine it's a feeding frenzy at this point, right?
Yeah. And there's a you know, a lot of hiring going on for big projects like Epic, and I have a feeling that will go on for a long time. And it used to be, you know, there was a time between companies when they had no poaching like contracts. Like I couldn't work for Disney if I was working for Universal. There had to be like an amount of time. They used to build that into people's contracts. That's all. Who cares about that? No, nobody.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, it's not necessarily a great time to come to Florida anyway. Gas is not great. I mean, it's not great in California either, but you know, hurricane season's upon us, and you know,
I was literally making a spreadsheet like yesterday about the cost of living in California versus Florida, and the savings that I would have if I moved to you guys.
it's true.
The taxes are killing me, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth it.
But our governance is killing us, so
That's
you know,
the problem.
your choice.
So it's a pros and cons type of thing.
Yeah. But you know what? I need more liberal-minded people down here. So Sarah, get your butt over here. Welcome,
You know-
Floridian.
They need to move Imagineering to Austin. That's
Yeah,
I think
right.
Jack,
I was gonna say either come here or move where Jack lives, because both places need more liberal-minded people.
We're a pretty big island of blue in the middle of Texas right now, but that island can get bigger for sure.
Yeah, right.
For every Joe Rogan, I'd like to get like 10, more progressive-minded people. So that'd be great.
Maybe, I don't know. Rent's expensive out here, so
I got a deal for you, Jack, because Sarah has at least 3 Joe Rogans. That's just the way it goes. She's such a pro.
at least 3, I'll take it.
Yeah, Sarah.
Waiting for those Spotify checks to come in. You know,
I want 3 of his Spotify checks. I'll be set.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if that suggests that you also get 3 times the amount of money here, because we all get paid nothing at the moment. So you get 3% or 3 times
of
more
zero.
nothing.
Yeah.
Speaking of things you have passions about, let's talk about Yeeted Spider-Man, as we've talked about in other episodes, of course. First of all,
Yes.
you were going to come back and tell us what they do with these Yeeted Spider-Man. This was a very big deal.
No one would tell me anything. I've asked, I put it out on Instagram, I reached out to a few people, and all they said to me was, it's what you like think. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And no one would tell me anything. So
they're put on a farm. They're sent to pasture.
I think that's what it is.
I mean, everything's fixable, right? Even damage like that. We know that there's 3 that they built, right?
Yes.
And they named them Toby, Andrew, and Tom. Thank you.
Yeah.
I forgot the newest one. I'm terrible. But like, that doesn't mean that they have a bucket full of arms and fingers and like parts, right? Like, so.
Right.
First of all, allegedly, yeah, I don't know any of this for sure. This is just my own, like, if I were designing a show like that, what would go on the back of my mind? And the first thing I noticed was where it hit. If you noticed those little metal fins.
Let's talk about that real quick though, because you're what's the term? Not hiding the
putting the cart before the horse,
the cart before the horse, or the Spider-Man before the web, which is of course that yeeted Spider-Man has gone splat. One of the Stuntronic performers, of course, missed its mark and crashed through kind of a. I mean, it looks like a buffer zone once you see it crash through it, and then you're like, "Oh, that's definitely what that is." Opposed to just being
that was
structure.
Intentional.
Yeah,
that was absolutely intentional.
And there's audio apparently that they can play if there's a mistake, which is super smart. But yeah, it was quite the display.
If you watch closely too, it's because the release cable doesn't go. Like he stays on the cable through the swing.
Yeah,
and then falls back down on top of it. So it's I think the actual release point was the issue, but I don't know that for sure. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah,
I 100% thought it was like fake when I first saw it because of that first video that was going around a few months ago that it looked super real. So I was like, oh, is it the same creator? And then I remember I sent it to you guys, and then it was just like, no, like this is real, like it actually happened. But I think what the funny part is that they like fixed it so quickly, and I think you're right, Dave. It seemed like they were prepared for this to happen, which I'm really like glad about. Even with the audio where he says, "Oh no, like the brakes, da da da," like, and so it seemed like they were. I kind of like it. It adds a little bit more.
Kind of like a yeeted Spider-Man to crash into the wall like once a month. Like
I like that he crashed though. I really do. I think it's really
like cool. Something he would do in real life.
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Very
exactly.
Spider-Man thing.
It's absolutely on brand for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the thing is, something that complex and something that is untethered like that, the engineering models for that tell them exactly what the rate of failure will be. They know that out of every 500 performances, there's going to be like 0.01 that possibly could fail. So of course you're going to design in safeties for that kind of thing. But yeah, I want to see, what I would love to see is the character come down for the meet and greet right after that with like his arm in a sling,
like a damaged costume.
Right.
So actually I did a little like mini report about this whole event for our TikTok channel, and I looked up Wired actually did a really good video where they interviewed some of the Imagineers behind the Stuntronic, and it's basically like it's a very, very simple animatronic with just a few kind of like not actuators, but like the way where it can tell us where it kind of is in 3D space. And then everything else is just a 3D printed shell on top of it, screwed together. So I think they could actually make another one pretty. I mean, if there is any significant damage, they could make another one pretty quick. So it is pretty rad. And also those panels too are apparently meant to give way. They were literally built to fall if something were to go wrong. So that's why it kind of crashed through them, because they wanted something kind of almost like the cardboard boxes you see for stuntmen. They wanted something that hopefully break a fall if absolutely necessary.
I mean, and there's precedent for a free flying thing, right? Universal did the Waterworld plane back in the 90s,
for sure,
which is completely untethered, and it's a big trebuchet that just like catapults it in. But I was working there. I didn't work on that show, but I was working there when the show was being done, and the testing for it was crazy. And Universal is far more carny than the high-tech engineering of the Stuntronics. And that's not a slam. That's like point badge of honor for people there. But they set up the test, and it literally is a trebuchet. It's like a counterweighted thing that pushes that plane. They set it up on the back lot. You know where the big, it's called Falls Lake. It's where the big lake set is with the sky backdrop on the tram tour. They used that because it was full of water. And they brought out about 20 what they call in the movie industry ritters, which are those giant fans they used to simulate storms. And they created enough wind for a like force 3 hurricane. Because it was the only place on the back like they can do it without blowing down trees, basically. And so they pointed it basically at the plane, and it was all about measuring how far off course it would go if perchance a sudden burst of F3 wind happened in Los Angeles. This is all for legal reasons, right? You have to, But so basically what it resulted in is that plane is the most unaerodynamic plane that has ever existed because there's nothing on it to catch any wind.
It's still pretty cool. Like I saw Waterworld
I
a
love
couple
that
of weeks
gag.
ago. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But I really like that there was also another thing where cast members were being asked about the crash, and they were saying things about how, oh well, those slots are made that way because Hulk gets really mad all the time and he just smashes stuff. So it feels like they were prepared for this. So I really like it, and I think if they would have just said, oh, it's just a part of the show, like they could have totally like played it off.
Yeah, can't do that.
And of all the heroes, that's the one that it should
It totally
happen
makes sense.
100%.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm still standing by that theory that I think that there's a pile of these Spider-Men like just being thrown in a corner. I still think it's happening. I think it's true. I just feel like it makes sense.
My 90s baby heart just assumes they're all crash dummies. Like all those crash dummies, all my best friends crash dummies, you know, they all got new jobs playing Spider-Man at
Oh, I thought you were talking about the band. The
Crash Dummies
song. Yeah.
No. That's a little bit older than me. I think maybe just a hair. So
no, I think it's like the Prestige style where there's just thousands and thousands of these things. Like just keep making them, launch them.
It's really Hugh Jackman underneath that Spider-Man suit.
Yeah, just multiple Hugh Jackmans. Our yeeted Spider-Man lore goes even deeper now. But we're going to move on to a not deeper, but wider with the international viewpoint from Victoria. Victoria, would you like to take us on a large, very expensive trip?
I sure can. And if you want me to book it for you, just let me know, because that commission check was probably going to pay my rent for 2 months. But so Adventure by Disney is offering 75 Ultimate Disney fans this private jet trip, and the amount of stuff that you get with it is truly VIP. You go to not only all of the parks all around the world, but you also hit like Paris, the Taj Mahal. You get to see the pyramids of Giza. It's just really first class. You get tours with Imagineers. You get VIP guides. You get to stay in like every world-class hotel you could think of. You could stay there. Your private jet also includes a chef, a physician, and like 3 staff members to just take care of whatever you need. So anyone want to guess how much all of this costs?
100,000.
$100,995, and that's
I love
starting.
that as a 5.
Damn.
Right. That's the starting
And that's
point.
starting price. And that's the starting price.
That's the starting price?
That's just the starting price.
Up for how many people? Up to how many people?
That's per person.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the down payment is 11,000.
Oh,
that's cake.
But I will say you also get to stay at Skywalker Ranch too. So I'm like, I could drop 11K for Skywalker Ranch, and you also get to go to Walt Disney Studios.
You know, all these Disney vloggers are just salivating at the idea that no one's going to do this, and Disney's like the cruise. They're going to be like, oh well, we booked it all. Like, let's take some vloggers, right? We're going to do this trip.
That was exactly what I was thinking.
You know, it's whale bait. It's like what the casinos do when they put the Lamborghini on the floor. No one's going to win that fucking car. Like it's, this is not this is aspirational. Like there's people criticizing it online that who can afford this? Like that's not the point.
Can't.
This is, you can't.
there are people who can afford it.
There are people who can afford it.
Yeah, there are. And they're going to go.
And Disney wants to expand to that luxury market. That's been, if anything, in the last year we've seen is very clear.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is whale bait. This is to get the attention of people that would never, ever think of going to Disney World on a vacation.
Yeah.
Who can go literally anywhere and probably own multiple places they can go around the world. For them to go, oh, that sounds fun. Let's do that at Disney. Like,
well, the joke's on them because they've got to go to Walt Disney Studios Paris. So take that.
But
You see Catastrophe Canyon, man. Come on now.
That's true. It's getting better. It's getting better.
No, so
that was a softball, Nathan. That was a softball.
Yeah, my jokes are getting lazy. I'm tired tonight, people.
my sort of thoughts on this though is like, of all the times to do this, like right now Disney's getting kind of crapped on more than anything because everything's so expensive. They're nickel and diming everyone. It's like, oh, okay, you think we're nickel and diming you now? How about $110,000 flight around the world? It's like, Kate, test the room, see what's going on. Like this feels so. I mean, the bad thing is this will sell out. Like 100%, this is going to sell out. This will absolutely sell out.
Only at 75 people. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sucks because that means they're gonna be like, oh, see, people wanted this, and it's like, but why? Why go public with this? Honestly, like why make a big deal? Like this, there's no reason other than to, like, just to show how much money they can get out of people with this. I don't know. This kind of drives me nuts after seeing how much Disney started charging for things like Disney, or Genie Plus and like Fast Passes and all of that stuff that I remember growing up with all of that being free. Now you're paying for it, and the reservations. It's just like, all of this stuff is getting more and more frustrating. And now they're like, oh, by the way, give us $100,000 to fly the planet. It's like, no, now is not the time, man.
Just to add on to that, if I were that wealthy, and this is just me, why would I pay all that money to hang out with strangers?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like,
But
okay,
I could buy my own private jet and do this on my own
for cheaper too, because I remember seeing
cheaper.
I don't know where I saw it, but it was like a while ago, and it was saying you could visit all the Disney parks within about a month, and it would cost like less than like 27 grand. Like if you really wanted to like actually like stay at the nice hotels and visit all the parks in that month period.
Right.
So why would I spend $100,000 just for 75 other people that I don't even know? And it's just really gross. Like the recession's gonna hit. Like it's gonna come next year.
We are 3 steps in like a spin away from a recession, and this is what you decide to tell us.
One step at a spin. Like
it's 24 days. I mean, that's like 3.5 weeks. It's like, do you want to spend 3.5 weeks on a plane going to Disney like that? Really? I don't know. That's
too
wild.
much.
All I can say is this sounds like a great premise for an Agatha Christie murder.
Benoit Blanc, come on, give me a Knives Out.
Yeah, come on. Give me
Ryan's got a relationship with Disney. Make this a Disney Plus like limited series, like death on the Disney cruise kind of a thing, Oh man, that's a great idea.
Speaking of rich people, we're gonna talk about more rich people. Let's go to the Disney company as a whole, and we have some really interesting news coming out of the corporation. First, let's begin with Disney hiring. This is from Variety. Disney has hired Apple Games executive Mark Bozon to head their metaverse creative strategy. Now, the metaverse is a hot word that everyone loves, and no one seems to know what it is. And according to Disney, because that term means a lot of different things to different people, the company will basically coalesce a lot of different efforts under a next generation storytelling banner is what they're calling it. And they call it a defined strategy focused on creating new canvases for storytelling and audience engagement spanning digital, physical, and virtual experiences. I kind of know what that means, but it is also a corporate term like Google Gobble that, it feels like this, like you could work for Disney in this and end up doing nothing for 10 years. And they're like, I don't know, I just sat here. No one came and talked to me. I just,
That's a nice work from home position.
Yeah.
Really that's what it feels like.
Does anyone have any thoughts about the metaverse and what Disney wants to do with it? Are we excited about the metaverse? I saw Ready Player One. It turns out great when you have the metaverse.
Yeah. If the metaverse is encompassing Web3 and all of that crap that goes along with it, with your NFTs and your tokens and your DAOs and all of that, that's when it starts getting very scammy very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's what I get nervous about. If they're throwing metaverse out there, like the Facebook kind of virtual world stuff, I'm more interested in that. That's the kind of stuff where I'm like, okay, like I could see Disney doing some cool virtual experiences that carry over into the real world, kind of ARG type stuff. Like that would be neat. And it drives me nuts now that Disney doesn't do more ARG type things in their parks. They have a platform, they have a whole land to do stuff, and they've touched on it a hair with like the stuff at Batu and Galaxy's Edge. Like there's the game you can play along, and
it seems they're going to be doing something more coming up here too.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. It's like if they're doing more like that. If that's what this is encompassing, I'm all for it. But as soon as it says like, well, get our limited edition NFT, and then I'm like, nope, I'm out. I'm out. That's dumb.
I'm surprised they haven't gone down that route.
Oh, they have.
I thought they did.
They have. They already have.
They have.
There's Disney NFTs you can buy. Yeah, it's a pyramid scheme. So. Yeah, no, I'm with Jack on the Web3 and NFT thing. It is digital snake oil. The the thing is that I agree with Jack about the ARG thing. The thing is they've actually dabbled in that before. They did a thing called Adventureland Trading Company at Disneyland, which was like this pen and paper ARG that you would do around Adventureland. There's a lot of fun. It was all in service of playtesting stuff that was supposed to eventually go to Galaxy's Edge.
Right. Ghost Post too, right?
The Ghost Post was great. A buddy of mine did that. But there's that pirate game you can do as well, that kind of like hidden that like no one knows about, which is awesome. And I love stuff like that.
With the little compass, and Kim Possible obviously was long running, which then became Agent P from Phineas and Ferb. But there was another one they did sort of alongside this called Virtual Magic Kingdom. Does anybody remember this? VMK.
VMK.
If you search for Virtual Magic Kingdom, you'll find it. It's from like the late 90s, early aughts. It was a web-based game, and it looked like the stuff that they ended up buying with Club Penguin, by the way, but it wasn't that. It was actually in the park, and there were things you could do in the park to get cards that would be good for typing in a code on the website to get a thing for your little room to decorate in Virtual Magic Kingdom. So it ran for a while, and it was I mean, what they're calling the metaverse now, 20 years ago, and Jack will probably remember this, it was all called transmedia.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, when I was in grad school, it was all about transmedia.
Transmedia, which is like you're going to take this IP and it's going to have tendrils across video games, movies, books, board games, sleepwear, whatever. Like it was about extending, and that's what they do anyway. That's just consumer 100%. Products. It's just another fancy name is now metaverse, because now they can do that in digital spaces in either VR or AR. Okay.
Yeah, I think a good example of what you're talking about is kind of the Galaxy's Edge like side stuff, like the book that was kind of Black Spire oriented, and the game, and there was a Sims thing, and so that's kind of the transmedia aspect. I don't know, it's fine. They always do this kind of R&D stuff, and this sounds like they're going to have their tendrils in different departments from what it says, and they're going to be working with other parts of the organization. So I mean, if they're helping sort of do that, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I kind of would like us to not look at our phones as much at the theme parks, but we'll see what they do, I guess.
One of the things that's interesting is now that all the attractions are being developed a lot more with digital tools in 3D space, like you model these attractions basically entirely in 3D, everything before it gets built, is that you can use that data. And you could theoretically create like a digital double of the attraction somewhere on your Quest or whatever. I don't ever think they're going to do that, because they want you to go to the real world.
On my Disney Quest day?
On your I see what you did there.
Thank you.
R.I.P. Disney Quest. Pour one out.
Yeah.
No, that's the trick. Is I understand them wanting to do content from their movies and TV shows and stuff, and make games and whatever the metaverse turns into in terms of AR, VR, fine. But the parks fitting into that is a hard sell for me, because the parks are literally about going to a real place. Why do I want to go to the fake version? Unless it's like extending the experience in a way. If that can do things in the metaverse that roll out into the real park, the way Ghost Post did, because there was stuff you did at home that rolled out into experiences in the park, that would be awesome. But scaling that up to the kind of capacity they do is exactly why things like Ghost Post never got greenlit, because they just can't scale it up.
Do you guys really think that things like the metaverse and like VR and like AR and stuff like that is going to really catch on for Gen Z and stuff like that? Because I feel like a lot of people in Gen Z are picking aesthetics that are kind of regressing in terms of like technology, where it'll be like, oh, we'll get like the wired headphones, or like we don't want to wear like the AirPods anymore. So stuff like that, or like the preppy aesthetic, the dark media aesthetic, like all these different aesthetics that are the aughts is like becoming a thing now. Like oh my god, low-rise jeans, that's a thing. That's becoming a thing now.
Yeah, I saw crop tops the other day, and I was like, sweet babies, we did this already. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it.
It's the baby tees and the low-rise jeans are coming back in, and it to me it hurts. But I really do wonder like how that'll like catch on with like Gen Z, if it ever really will.
Sales for the Quest last Christmas are that is fine. I think VR has reached the point where it has its audience. I don't think it's going to get huge and bigger, but people know what it is now, and when they didn't, and there is a really easy on-road for it. So that's going to be a robust platform for a long time. AR is a little trickier, because I mean, this coming from somebody who's actually working in AR and mixed reality right now, there is no killer app for it, and it tends to be fairly gimmicky, right? It's everybody turns it off in Pokemon Go because it wears out your battery, and it doesn't really add to the gameplay or the story. You don't need it. And the AR games that are out there don't take advantage of what these phones, that literally every phone in the world, 2 million phones in the world can do AR right now. And nobody, and what's it used for? Animating, product labels for marketing. So whoever comes with that killer app, I think is gonna really show that it's a storytelling platform, which frankly, to toot our own horn, that's what we're trying to do. But the other issue then is mobile versus headset, right? That nobody's made a really good that nobody's made the quest of AR yet, right?
Google Glass
didn't do on your face. No, but we talked philosophically in parks. What would it be? It's like if I could walk through Disneyland with a pair of Ray-Bans that put cartoon characters throughout the land, or droids going through Galaxy's Edge that I can interact with, I'm game on. I'm in.
That's pretty cool.
I'm totally in for that, because that's special and specific to the place, right? If it's just AR games out in the world, I mean, that's Niantic's realm, right?
Yeah.
They're opening that API up so everybody can build their own sort of global games. But how the theme parks work into it really is going to depend on who comes to the table with hardware that everybody wants first. And I would bet on Apple for that.
I think AR is definitely the way it's gonna go. Like, that's gonna be the big thing. Like, to me, you're talking about like a killer app or something. I remember the first time the World Lens came out, where you could literally hold your phone up to like an image in another language and it would translate it. I went to Paris and I used that, and it was amazing. And I was like, this is the future. This is the stuff that I was expecting in the future. And it feels like either people just don't know about that, or it's just not a big thing. But I feel like AR, if you did something where it was like you go to Pandora inside of Animal Kingdom, and it's like, oh, we have a special lens that allows you to see, invisible Pandoran, creatures, and then like outside the fences and stuff, you could actually see stuff moving around, so you're not, running into guests or anything. That's where I feel like this could be the next big thing. This could be the next step, because I think AR is now, with things like Pokemon Go and like the Harry Potter game, it's like you're seeing people kind of understanding it, that things can exist in virtual real life. And I'm just shocked that we haven't seen that being more pervasive throughout the parks in any sort of form.
Well, if we can finally get those Ray-Ban AR glasses to everyone, I can have my They Live park. Finally.
Yes.
I can see.
Obey. Spend.
I think they should just get like the Disney park apps working first.
Yeah, let's just get the Disney park apps working. That's a great call.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason they should be doing that.
And the Disney Play app sucks. Like, you can't even really use that when you're in Galaxy's Edge.
I forgot that existed.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't. I don't think they updated it for Cosmic Rewind. There's no Cosmic Rewind stuff on the Play app. I think they've already left. I think they're already done with it. Wow. I really do, because like if you have new attractions coming out like Ratatouille and you're not doing anything with the Play app, like you've already let it go.
No one really uses it anyway. So.
I feel like they put all their chips in the Disney Genie, and then they just gave up on Disney Play.
Yeah.
Does Disney have Wi-Fi in all the parks? I think Universal does. I don't know. If
AT&T is the proud sponsor of Walt Disney World.
They should not be proud.
It's not great. It's there, but it's not great.
But you brought up Gen Z, and of course I teach Gen Z students, and we do a lot of research about what Gen Z students are looking for. And you're right, like they don't spend as much money as their parents. Like the wild thing is Disney is currently setting themselves up for customers who are their own age, who have that money set. Gen Z is not going to pay for this kind of stuff, not in the same way that past generations are. And they better know that, because it's going to happen. And we'll see how it kind of pans out, but I agree with you, Sarah. I think, Gen Z is much more fiscally, I don't want to use the term conservative, but they're more fiscally responsible. Because
I think it's because they don't have we don't have as a Gen Z. I don't have it. So
100%.
We are
be a little
poor.
Very struggling, barely hanging on. But I think what really when it comes to technology and the way that it's going forward, I personally don't really get excited about stuff like that. I think it's cool, but it's not something that I find it to be very scary when we start talking about the metaverse, and like AI and all that type of stuff. But it's just like seeing how a lot of Gen Z is kind of going backwards in technology, and like they're kind of going for more of that aesthetic. So I don't know.
Honestly, like you're right though. Like that's what they're doing. They really are regressing as far like I can't believe, and I'm gonna bring it up. So Beyonce is dropping a box for her album.
Yeah.
But it has a
Yes.
CD in it.
Yeah.
So it has a CD. Who in the year of our Lord 2022 has a CD player?
I've got a mini disc player around here somewhere I could sell
Yeah.
to some kid. If there's any Gen Zers who want to buy a mini disc player,
They
I'll
will
guess.
buy it.
I'm
Like,
jogging.
they're
I'm jogging
buying that
every
stuff.
day with my anti-shock CD player. Do you remember those things? So.
But like that's my point. Like she's right. She's right. Like they're regressing back to that just like CD
Vinyl
players and
sold more than CDs for several years now. So
Like
Yeah.
the 2000 aesthetic, the 80s aesthetic is kind of coming in right now. Like you're seeing the 70s aesthetic also. So like you have all these aesthetics that are very clear, and you see them in Gen Z, specifically 2000s aesthetic right now. And it's just strange to see like how that is going to play out. Like I'm interested to see how it'll work as Gen Z gets older, and they're going to be obviously the biggest buying block, and we'll see how that goes.
well, I would invest in ska bands, people.
That's
coming back.
Wave is coming. The fourth wave is coming.
Yeah, gotta come back. So let's move on to some even weirder Disney corporate news, and this is from the Hollywood Reporter with the best image. I hope everyone in this chat currently is looking at the image from the Hollywood Reporter. For those who can't see, of course, with their ears, the Hollywood Reporter is talking about how Bob Chapek has fired executive Peter Rice, and their image is Bob Chapek, who has never looked more like Lex Luthor than in this photo, is literally riding a bowl in a china shop and breaking Peter Rice's plate and other plates as well. So this is the head of the Walt Disney Corporation. This is how he is treated by his industry. Peter Rice, and the interesting thing about Peter Rice is, well, there's several things to say about Peter Rice. Peter Rice was an executive for Fox. He has close ties to Rupert Murdoch. His father knew Rupert Murdoch and helped. I'm trying to find the part here where they talk about it. Yes, his father was close to Rupert Murdoch and helped Murdoch fight organized labor in England in the 1980s. I'm not saying this guy is like some up-and-comer dreamer who didn't get like a silver spoon given to him. Like this guy, he is corporate through and through, right? But he got fired. He was working as let's see here. I'm trying to remember his exact title. Executive of such and such. He came from the Fox merger, and we're not using the term fired here loosely. He literally was fired. And if you know anything about the Hollywood industry, and this is a great thing that the reporter says, they said, this is the first paragraph. Hollywood is a place where no matter how fired you are, you're not fired. At Disney alone, studio chief Jeffrey Katzenberg wasn't fired when the then chairman and CEO Michael Eisner tossed him out the window in 94. Michael Ovitz wasn't fired when Eisner did the same in 96. By the way, if you've never read the book Disney War, it's all about Ovitz and Katzenberg getting fired. It's one of the best books ever. It's amazing. And then it goes on to say Tom Staggs wasn't fired when Bob Iger pushed him out as COO in 2016. Of course, he had his photo taken away in Pandora. That's probably a bigger slight. For those who don't know, Tom Staggs was in a photo of the breaking of the ground with a Na'vi warrior, and he got fired, and they photoshopped him out of the photo and put a new photo up.
That's so petty.
It's so
That
petty.
is so petty.
All those people were allowed to resign, right?
Yes, they all resigned.
These high-profile jobs that they are allowed to leave gracefully, which is sort of the
Even our best friend Jeff Morrell.
Yeah.
Our best friend, Sacrificial Lamb, Jeff Morrell, giving us Guardians dates. He even gets to leave on his own terms. But Peter Rice gets fired, and it was a brief meeting on June 9th between Chapek and Rice and the HR chief, and it lasted 7 minutes, and Chapek just fired him. and said he wasn't a good fit. And
they literally had the HR chief in his office during their meeting.
Wow.
So it was not. It is a firing.
Yeah, and Rice asked, "Okay, what have I done?" And he said, "I just not a good fit." Like, he had never got any complaints. He's known for wanting to spend money to promote stuff, and you know, like, he's kind of a go-getter, but that's sort of his problem, is he's a go-getter. Like, this is very Shakespearean. This is just Chapek, you know, stabbing the person who's going to stab him, right? Get Brutus before he can get you. So it just seems like a kind of a power struggle and a worry. But it's really strange. This is really shaken up. Morale is at rock bottom currently at Disney, because Rice hadn't been there long, but he was pretty powerful. I mean, no one's worried that Rice is not going to get another job. He'll be just fine. But it's just a very strange thing to do in a time when you don't need to do strange things unless you're Millie Bobby Brown. So
my favorite quote in that reporter article is when where a Disney insider says Chapek is snatching defeat from the jaws of victory again. Like you know, that he's just doesn't know how to be graceful with any of this, and that's like, we all knew that, but now it's really, really, really coming home to roost.
Well, what I heard, the one thing I heard about this, I don't know much about the situation, but I heard that supposedly Rice was being eyed as a possible Chapek replacement at some point. And so Chapek's like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of you before they can even think about replacing you with me, or me with you. And so
he Highlandered him.
There can only be one. Yeah, this is strange. It's just, again, it's like, anytime he can do anything that like is simple. I mean, you don't have to keep Peter Rice. You really don't. It's fine. But why do it like this? Like, it just feels like this guy wasn't ready for this position. He keeps forgetting that there's a corporate culture that's already in place. Even when these mergers happen, like, Rice is known in the industry. Chapek's not from the entertainment industry. He's an outsider. He's a ketchup king. He came from Heinz, if I remember correctly. Like he's not a guy that understands things like Iger did. And this is when it becomes very clear. Iger would have never done this. This would not have ever happened under his watch, even if he wanted Rice gone. If anything, he would have at least not given Rice a 3-year contract, like less than a year ago? Like, they just upped Rice's contract. So they've got to pay him out for that entire contract as well. So, I don't know. Just you know, mom and dad are fighting again at Disney. So we're just gonna keep an eye, I guess, and go from there. But any other thoughts on this topic? Poor Peter Rice. R.I.P.
This is gonna make a really, really great like biopic or book, because Disney War
2, baby.
Disney War was great. Nathan's not lying. That is a great book. It is a riveting
turner,
riveting read. Yeah.
I mean, it's literally for those who don't know, like, it starts with Eisner coming from Paramount. And sort of the struggle a little bit with that, and him coming in to him leaving. And it is I mean, we're talking the entire 90s Disney Renaissance, all of it's covered. And Jeffrey Katzenberg, like, couldn't be more of a toady. You know, when everyone was making fun of Jeffrey Katzenberg during what was the thing he just did? I can't even remember. Goopy, Tubi? What is the thing that he just did with the 10-minute movies on your phone?
Oh, Quibi?
I knew it was a something-y.
Quibi, wasn't that like billions of dollars?
That was billions of dollars of Jeffrey
burned?
Katzenberg's money.
Yeah.
So everyone was making fun of him, and I was like, I made fun of Jeffrey. I'm a cool kid. I've not liked Jeffrey Katzenberg.
You were
for
first.
Years.
Yeah.
I was first at this. So yeah, read Disney War, people. It's great.
I do think that this era of Disney is kind of exciting because we don't know what's happening. Like, we don't know what's going to happen next. And it feels like every day there's just some new weird thing that's going on in the background that just kind of comes out into the open. So I think in a weird way that this is going to be, like you guys said, a good movie, a good documentary, a good book. So we'll see.
But let's talk about better things, not only because the podcast is already going long, but because there's an exciting new movie coming out, and they just teased it. Disney's next animated feature is one I'm very, 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 very excited about, because it is 100% my shit, and that is Strange World. which is this really fun. It's the teaser and the poster are very retro, alien kind of 50s vibe. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal and some other names. That's directed by Don Hall, who did Big Hero 6 and Raya the Last Dragon. And it's like kind of like a family, this legendary kind of adventure-y family exploring a new sort of planet on a critical mission, and it looks a lot of fun. And I'm very excited for the film, and I'm very excited for the potential on what we could do with it in the theme parks if it really goes big, because it's a fun visual atmosphere. What do you guys think?
It's very pulpy.
Yeah.
The only thing I saw was, holy crap, they're gonna sell hella toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the weird aliens are just, the whole thing's very toyetic, but I can't. Yeah, I loved it, and I'm with you, Nathan. That one hit me square between the eyes. It was like, oh my god, this is literally made for me.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. It's giving me all the vibes that I could possibly want.
But it makes me wonder though, like as I say that, and then I think, well, what 10-year-old knows about 40s and 50s pulp novels and pulp movies? But hopefully it'll do that thing that Disney does, which is like, it doesn't matter for a younger audience, it's just this cool fun thing, but there's references and things in it that make us old farts go, oh yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, Up had a little bit of that vibe in aspects of the plot, of course, because he's sort of like a more true life adventurer. But yeah, totally. I mean, if we want to bring back someone's got to bring back the genre of wild science fiction and make it prominent in people's minds. I don't mind if it's Disney. So
throw me a Rocketeer reference in there, I'll be good to go.
Ooh, you're hitting all my buttons.
Have you guys ever been to the Alamo Drafthouse Theater?
Alamo Drafthouse started here in Austin. I'm a huge,
I know.
huge
They just
lover of
opened
Alamo.
one. They opened one up in LA. And like the scenes that they have before, like their trailers, they kind of reminded me of like
100%.
Strange World. Yeah, because it has like that 50s vibe.
I don't want sci-fi dine-in to change, but you could put a little bit of you could have a special sci-fi dine-in Strange Worlds tie-in thing for a little bit.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So
that's a good tie-in.
I saw the trailer for it right before I saw Lightyear today, like in the theater, and it looks way cooler. Like when you're just like sitting in there, like all the colors are so pretty. Like I can't wait to see like how they create this like entire new world. Like I just can't. It also reminds me of Atlantis. That's just kind of the vibe
very
it was
much
giving.
so. Very much so. That was probably the last big attempt. And very much enjoyed by me as well. So I'd love to see this movie in 3D. I think they're going to really play with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a movie like this. I see, if Animal Kingdom didn't, or if Animal Kingdom wanted to replace like the dino area with something like this, that would be cool. Kind of like the weird future retro world of weird. That would be pretty rad.
I mean, can Animal Kingdom really have two fictional planets though?
Yeah, that's the issue though. Yeah, Pandora.
I think why the hell not? They don't know what it
doesn't
is.
matter anymore.
It doesn't
I want a
matter
dark ride
anymore.
of this. I feel like a dark
very-
ride would be super cool.
Yeah,
Honestly, if they took out indie in studios and just use that space for it.
No one touches indie. No one touches indie. But Star Tours, on the other hand, this could make
That
a
is
really.
rumored to go.
Star Tours is basically right across from Sci-Fi Dine-In. It's not that far. You could do a little bit of travel the planet and that thing. So who knows? Sarah, we're gonna talk about Lightyear. You mentioned Lightyear a second ago, but before we get there, have you all seen Miss Marvel? Have you watched at least one episode yet?
Have I seen Miss Marvel?
Watched the first episode. It was fantastic.
It was great.
I wanted to watch the second one tonight, but we're running long, so I don't know if I will.
Yeah, I saw it as well. Thoughts, people?
I think it's fantastic. It's great. I mean, it checks off so many boxes of stuff I'm looking for in TV.
I got a little nervous regarding the power switch up situation, but after seeing the show, I have no complaints.
Yeah, I mean, there's complaints that it's not the big stretchy hands that she has in
Yeah.
the Avengers game, right? I think there's going to be versions of that. It's like Green Lantern.
I
Like, it can
think
become
so
anything.
too.
Well, they alluded to that in the first episode when she
Yeah.
reached out to sort of break the fall of the girl. But I think, honestly, we got the Fantastic Four is coming into the MCU within the next 5 years. And I think having a stretchy girl and also a stretchy man, it's kind of like we need to sort of differentiate them a little bit. And I think that's what they're going to do. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. And it works for me. And everything I've seen so far with her has been great. So
I am excited about the Disney Plus show Stretchy Girl and Stretchy Man, though. That's very exciting.
The little touches of style, though, with the little animated things overlaid, like what she's seeing, or that scene where she's texting with her friend,
texting,
and the text messages showing up in the scenery. It was very
all the neon
very
signs
current,
used
very cool.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated to see how people bring texting into a movie, if it's just going to be like text on a screen or something like Chef, or like however they do something a little bit different, and they nailed it with this. I was very like kind of Guy Ritchie-esque, sort of, maybe not Guy, but it was neat how they sort of implemented it into the world. Yeah,
there's the second episode I can't recommend enough.
Edgar Wright is what I was looking for.
Oh, Edgar Wright, there you go. The second episode really dives into kind of mosque culture and mosque life. And
I was about to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I mean, even from a perspective of like just someone who doesn't know that culture very well, like it's just interesting, period. Like I don't need any of the superpowers. I would have just watched a show about that. But it's really fun. And like, there's a lot of talk about, okay, well, what do you do with a hijab, and like, and there's been some hand wringing on Netflix shows about how do you make it progressive but also be okay with the hijab, and blah blah blah. And the show immediately just kind of comes out and is like, I feel like myself when I'm in my hijab, and that's all the way it is. Like, she has a friend that wears it and it's not a problem, and it's fine. But it fully addresses the gender differences inside of the mosque. It does not stray away from any of it. I, as a white man, is now going to shut up and let Sarah talk about this, which makes a lot more sense. I should have probably shut up like 20 minutes ago about whatever I'm talking about. Sarah's like jumping up and down wanting to talk about it. Go ahead, please.
No, I absolutely like love hearing people's perspective when it comes to like stuff like this, because as a Muslim, I'm seeing it from a completely different lens. So just speaking to the cultural aspect of the show, like one of my favorite things was just hearing her say Bismillah, and that means like in the name of God. So just like hearing that out loud, like on a show, like on an American television show, it's just like, oh my God, like that's crazy, because like we used to get made fun of for saying things like that. We were called terrorists for saying things like that.
Good God, CBS's whole lineup was, if you saw a mosque, like it was going to be a terrorist organization.
Exactly.
Right.
For like 15 years. That's the way it was post 9/11.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's definitely that trope that we constantly see of like a Muslim girl on Netflix. We've seen it time and time again, where she falls in love with a white boy and she takes off her hijab, and that's her showing her freedom. And I think that I absolutely love the fact that they are addressing that you can be progressive and be Muslim. You can still have that hijab and like be okay and comfortable in who you are, and that doesn't negate from the fact that you're just normal like everybody else. And also I do love the fact that they are addressing those gendered issues that come about within the faith. I think that there's a lot that needs to be talked about in that context, because I think when it comes to Islam, there is definitely the very conservative side of it. There is obviously the very progressive side. There's a moderate side. Like like any other faith, it's going to be that way. So I think it's important to kind of bring that out into the open and have those discussions in a way that is not harmful to the Muslim community, but also even allows us who are within the Muslim community to like look within and say, how do we talk about this? How do we deal with this? How do we move forward within our own community while also still bringing other people from the outside in? So I really just loved that aspect of the show, and just seeing positive Muslim representation on screen. Amazing, beautiful roses.
Cool.
Love
I think that what's really great too is it's using the sort of accessibility and popularity of a superhero show to sort of be a Trojan horse for some of those issues. Like a lot of the really cool sort of progressive content right now, it's getting you engaged because you love one thing and saying, hey, well, let's look at this story or this culture or this angle we haven't seen yet. And it's fantastic.
There's a scene in the second episode, and it's not really a spoiler, but her and a love interest kind of hide behind a menu from her brother. And the shot, you kind of go like, this is 100% from it, like a teen romance like Netflix show. Like this is the exact shot. Like I know this vibe and this look, but it does it really well. I mean, this whole show makes all of the Disney Plus shows look gray as hell in comparison. Like
It really
there's such a
does.
vibe, and just even in the editing, a kinetic energy that the rest of them get so bogged down in having to explain everything that they're already like mid something, right? Oh, this is pre-snap or post-snap or blah 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 blah, and this is like, we're not gonna talk about any of that. Like, this is just a kid and it's an origin story and it's simple. There's a beauty to that don't feel like we've seen in a while, because I don't love origin stories. I'm very tired of the concept, but this still was able to sort of make something interesting out of it.
Well, I mean, just the character herself is very much just a love letter to the MCU, because I mean, like, the whole idea is, Kamala is just a fan of the Avengers, and very much Iman in real life is a fan of the MCU, and so it's such perfect casting. And like hearing interviews with her and like her talking about watching new rock stars and going on Reddit to like read posts, and now she's in it, and like that's such a cool thing. And like everything about her is great. Hearing her like that she's texting Kevin Feige and like complaining about stuff, it's like like as a fan, it's like you dream about that, and she gets to live that, and it's like that's so cool. That's such a positive energy that we're getting, and I'm very, very excited to have her in this overall world. And also the fact that she's going to be in Miss Marvel, or in the Marvels coming out next year. It's like this isn't it for her. She's moving on to doing a whole lot of things. So hopefully, if the rumors about new Avengers are going to be true, then maybe she'll roll into that. It's like I'm just excited to see more of her character and more of her in the whole MCU.
And she's like Gen Z Spider-Man, basically.
100%.
Honestly,
yeah, the character
That's
really falls in line with that. And she was on the Daily Show, and there was an attempt to try to get her to say something or leak something, or oh, what do you got for us? And she just said, I told Kevin, like, I'm not gonna pull a Tom Holland. Like, it was just like she just knows the language, and what's like, it's very funny. So great show. Excited for more episodes. Everyone, I know you're like, wait a minute, there's another Disney Plus show. Why aren't you talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi? We're going to get to it when it's all over, because we're that close. So we'll talk about it then. There's a lot to talk about there too. So we'll get to that. But as Sarah talked about earlier, she saw Lightyear today. I think you're the only one, and no one else got to see it yet, right? I mean, it's not even technically
I don't
out.
plan on seeing it, so I'm fine with spoilers.
You don't plan on seeing it?
Really?
I'm excited. Let's start with your reasoning. I'm just curious.
It just
It's just not hitting it. Just not the vibe.
I mean, it's not the vibes. I mean, once you've seen Bob's Burgers movie, it's not the vibes.
Yeah, that's the end of it, right? Like, you don't need to see animated movies for a year.
All right.
I don't disagree. That was a great movie. But Sarah, what'd you think?
Okay. I have mixed feelings, because one thing that I love about just the visuals, stunning. Like, I am not the I don't love space movies. I think they're very boring. They're very bland. They don't like go anywhere for me.
I'm really glad you're the only one that saw it. This is a good review so far. Go ahead.
wait. Just listen. Okay. So I don't love space movies, but I loved this one. I thought that it kept me very engaged, and it was like the entire time I was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? The tension was like really building up. Like, I felt tension in this movie. Like, there were actually like high stakes, which I don't really feel a lot of the time when it comes to like Disney and Pixar movies. And I feel like there was like a lot of obviously it's a Pixar movie. There's a lot of themes that are very important. I don't want to spoil it, because I think it's really great. But one thing that definitely stood out to me was Chris Evans' voice. It didn't sound like Chris Evans. It just sounded like Buzz Lightyear. I don't know how to describe that, but he just sounded like Buzz Lightyear. But I thought that it was just visually just stunning. It was so beautiful. Like, there were so many shots in that movie where I was like, oh my God, like, there's no way. Like, it's super pretty. And I definitely loved Izzy's character, Alicia's character, Stan, Black women, love them. I love the way that they were portrayed in the movie. And I feel like all the other side characters were great.
Yeah, Taika Waititi's in it too, right?
Yes, he is. His character's name is Mo, and he was very funny. I felt like he didn't have that much of a role, really, but he was still kind of funny. And Socks is my favorite. He was so cute. But yeah, I think the movie overall, for me, I would give it like an 8 out of 10.
That's pretty good.
Because it was still a space movie, but overall, it's my favorite space movie. I'll put it that way.
where does this fall in the timeline of the Toy Story cinematic universe? Because from what I understand, this is so Buzz Lightyear was a real person. Is this movie like his existence, or is this a movie about the real guy?
So that's the thing. It's not. I don't think he's real. I don't think he was a real guy. So he's just a movie.
It's the toy. This is the movie Andy's toy was based on. It's not based on a real guy.
Oh.
It's
So
like,
this movie's from
is a sci-fi
1995.
movie. Right.
Yeah.
It's a 1995 sci-fi movie that Andy saw, fell in love with Buzz Lightyear, and bought the toy.
Well, here's what's interesting.
I thought it was a real guy.
No.
Yeah, same here.
I'm trying to find. Hold on a second. There's. I'll just try to explain it the best I can. I can't find the article. Someone talked to the director and asked these questions basically, and he said it's not a 1995 movie. It's like a 1985 movie that he saw in a re-release in 95 and then got on VHS and watched a bunch at home. And he
But then how did he get a new toy?
The toys had always been around. It was a new batch. And what this is what's interesting. He says, think of it like this. This gets real deep, just so everyone knows. But he goes, the Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story is the real Ghostbusters toy version of Buzz Lightyear. So for those that don't understand that at all, and if you hadn't, congratulations, you're a normal adult. Ghostbusters, of course, came out, and then, of course, there was the real Ghostbusters cartoon, and the designs were a little different, and the voice actors were a little different, and that kind of stuff. And the Buzz Lightyear toy is that slightly different cartoon version. And so the interviewer asked, so what you're saying is Tim Allen is the Lorenzo Music of Buzz Lightyear? And he said, yes. Tim Allen is the Lorenzo Music of Buzz Lightyear, of course, because Lorenzo Music voiced Peter Venkman in the cartoon Real Ghostbusters instead of Bill Murray because they couldn't get him. So Tim Allen is not the OG, I mean, in theory, not the OG voice in the cartoon counts. He goes, the Patrick Warburton cartoon is totally legitimate. That's just the cartoon voice for that cartoon. So there's just the action hero version and that sort of stuff. So that was how they sort of laid it out is, you know, Buzz Lightyear was a movie. Now, he doesn't have answers for who the actor is who plays Buzz Lightyear in the Buzz Lightyear movie, right? Because there's an actor in Andy's world who played that character, of course. But yeah. So if that's not complicated enough, I don't know what is.
That just was like
the way that just went right. While you were saying that, I did find out that I might make time for this movie because I didn't know Josh Brolin's father was playing Emperor Zurg. So I'm like, I might.
Josh Brolin's father's in it? What?
Yeah, he plays Emperor Zurg.
Grandpa Thanos.
I was like, Grandpa Thanos?
I can't put James Brolin.
And there's a queer relationship in it too, right?
Yes, there is a kiss.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That made me, the first 30 minutes of Lightyear made me cry. I'm gonna just say that. It just like immediately, I was like, okay, Pixar movie, we're crying.
I'm more excited to see it now than I was. I wasn't really going to make time for it, but I think I will now.
It's a really, really good movie.
I'm sure the gay kiss helps Dave, but I'm sure it was the Lorenzo Music.
It was really Lorenzo Music.
Yeah, that really laid it out for you there.
But now you need the existential crisis sequel to this, where Andy's in college, and it's like, is it like Birdman, where he tries to become Buzz Lightyear? Right? It's very strange. Yeah, I think that's the next one Pixar needs to do.
I do want to say there was one part of the movie that I kind of was like, about, which was like, I feel like I get it. The whole like time and space and like multiverse type of thing is like, you know, it's there, but like I am not the type of person that will sit there and be like, oh my God, this universe and that universe and this connects and all these different things. It's
you
just
must
not
really
me.
you must really like TV and movies right now.
It hurts my brain. It hurts. I just started Stranger Things too, so like it just hurts.
I was just about to say, like, you must have hated that.
I'm struggling. I literally have to have like a notepad and things just to, like, to keep track of these things. But they kind of introduced that in the movie, and I'm not going to spoil it any further than that. But then that part was very confusing, and it just kind of was like glossed over. So I was like, about that, but the rest of it was pretty good.
Cool. You had me at James Brolin plays Emperor Zurg. I mean,
right. I might make time for that now.
Should see it.
Okay, cool. Well, you know what? That's about going to the movies. But would you guys, do you remember riding the movies? That was a thing we used to do at Universal. We would ride the movies, but now we can escape the movies over at City Walk. Victoria, tell us about escaping the movies.
I'm very torn about this, but so just because I really love the Great Movie Ride, I feel like they're being petty, but I'm for it anyway.
Oh yeah, I feel like it's a little dig. It's great.
I feel like it's a dig.
I worked the Great Movie Ride. I did my college program at the Great Movie Ride. I love the Great Movie Ride. Such a good one.
Me too.
Maybe you actually had Jack as one of your guides. That would, what year?
2002.
I was in elementary school.
I mean, that may have been perfect for what it's worth.
Yeah, right, exactly right.
But so this was a rumor late last year, but Universal officially confirmed it. Those wonderful nightclubs that are in City Walk, yeah, they ain't coming back. They are now going to be escape rooms based on 2 classic Universal franchises, Fast and the Furious. No, I'm joking, but
give it time.
Back to the one's going to be Back to the Future and one's going to be Jurassic World, not Jurassic Park. No details have been made yet, except that tickets are going to be coming soon and it's going to open in fall.
Here's the thing. Here's, like, I saw that and I knew the rumor was true because but I don't know any details about it. I just know friends are working on it. And here's the thing to me. Those spaces for those nightclubs are huge.
Yeah, they really are.
Which means the rooms are going to be huge.
And there are not very many branded IP based escape rooms. Usually if there are, they're done for like promotional reasons, not permanent, to make money, which means I have a feeling these things scale wise are going to be huge in terms of detail and effects and all that kind of stuff.
My thing is, so you're saying it's a big footprint. They've got to have a lot of the same rooms. I imagine it's going to be like multiple copies of the exact same rooms on both sides. Like this is the Back to the Future side, this Jurassic Park side. I'm curious how many sort of experiences you'll be running at the same time, because most escape room places, they have like maybe at most 8 rooms, and it's like all different theming. This one will be like four back, 4
really big. Like from what I remember, it was
which clubs went away? Which ones are they using?
The Groove.
The Groove and
Red Coconut?
The Coconut, yeah.
Red Coconut, yeah.
The Coconut and the Groove, that's what they were called?
Yeah, that's why they were so popular. Okay, so we got which one are you most excited about and why is it not Jurassic World?
Back to the Future. Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, right?
I feel like it's going to be Back to the Future.
If it was Jurassic Park, I would be like, ooh, but at Jurassic World, immediately I'm like, well, all right.
I don't know. I mean, if it's an escape room where like there are raptors at the door and they will be let in unless I, that.
I mean, the only way I'm going to escape is if I do this.
Yeah, that's right. I just got to put my hand up.
You can just escape. Just put your hand up.
Yeah, put your hand up and you're all good to go. I don't know. Here's what's also interesting to me. I 100% know Christopher Lloyd is game to doing like instructional like tie-in video for the escape room. Like he'll 100% do it. So like, and probably they'll get Bryce Dallas Howard for some money. They're not gonna get Chris Pratt for it because he doesn't do anything for anything. But
he's in Velocicoaster.
He's in Velocicoaster. Yeah.
If you don't like locusts, I don't see a real reason to go to the Jurassic World one. It's gonna be full of locusts. For those who've seen the new movie.
I have.
I have, yeah.
I haven't, and that's what I know of it. That's why I'm waiting for it to come out on streaming.
Congrats, you know the plot then.
No, I
actually kind of liked it.
Boo, really?
Yeah, it's a Mission Impossible movie with dinosaurs.
If you like it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn.
I liked it. I didn't hate it.
I don't hate $5 showing.
Nice to
I just wanted more dinosaurs. That's all.
I was like, it needed more dino.
It needed something. It was missing something.
What's it missing? What's this dinosaur movie missing? Dinosaur.
The dinosaurs?
Wasn't that a joke in the first movie?
Yeah, right.
There gonna be any dinosaurs in your dinosaur park? Anyway, moving on.
But I forgot to mention it's called Universal's Great Movie Escape, which is why I said they're petty.
Nice dig. Yeah, it's very good. Let's propose. Anyone have any proposed escape rooms based on Universal, or we'll say Universal Studios, not necessarily Universal. We'll say that they can work with Warner Brothers on properties they use in the parks. Any specific ones you want to see?
I mean, honestly, like a Fast and the Furious one, like something like you're locked in a garage and you have to get out before someone shows up, like that. That's not.
Jack, I was joking.
I've done a lot of escape rooms, and like honestly, like you start thinking of like what would be cool things like hide stuff and like trying to get into like the Dodge Charger, like that would be kind of cool actually.
And you get a
like
Corona
you have to start
if you get out.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a Corona. That's good.
And then your family,
little barbecue, your family.
Family.
I wouldn't hate Psycho.
So, that'd be yeah,
I wouldn't hate a Psycho house.
The Blumhouse horror stuff could be. Well, obviously that lends itself. I would love to see the Bourne movies. Turn into an escape room. That'd be really good.
Sarah, any thoughts?
I was just thinking like a Horror Nights thing, like with the original.
Oh,
like,
just switch it out, make it Horror Nights escape rooms for a couple.
Yeah.
months.
Oh, like
That's
so, like
smart.
somewhere how they do tribute store.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
thought it was. I thought they were gonna like make different escape rooms, and that they were just gonna like constantly switch them out.
If they were smart, they would.
Hire me.
I mean, that's the problem. It's like you do the two rooms, then it's like, all right, now I have to wait 6 months for the next one. So it would make sense for them to have a lot. I mean, another one. I mean, not to be too much of a homer, but a Men in Black escape room would actually be pretty rad. I'm like, there's a
that
lot
would
of
be
cool stuff in there.
sick.
It would be cool. If only we knew someone who knew that aesthetic well.
If only.
If only.
If only.
Man,
You get flashed at the end and you don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, look! If you're at the end flashing me, Dave, I'm gonna remember it. So
Tune into the Volcano Bay episode of Annual Pass.
getting flashed at the Universal Escape
That ride
Room.
photo is. I can't wait for people to see that ride photo. It is epic.
I'm
I
ready.
guess we already
I'm ready
posted
for
it.
Yeah, we
already
tweeted it
posted
out.
it
It's
on
out
Twitter.
there.
Yeah, we tweeted out. It's out there. You should go look it up, folks. It's it's ridiculous.
You know what I want? I want a Dr. Seuss one. I think that'd be fun and different and wild.
That'd be interesting.
That's great because it could be in rhyme. Like
Yes.
all the stuff could be wordplay and rhyme. That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be
I
cute.
would literally lose my mind as a nanny. I just want you to know that.
Well, Victoria, there's some other news that might make us lose our minds. In our next segment, which of course is a segment that we all love, which is Beware Our Guest. So in Beware Our Guest, of course, we talk about different guest interactions in the park. And interesting, we have some sort of tangentially related material this week. But Victoria, you're going nuts about certain waters and getting touched by certain feet. This is no church foot washing either. So what are we talking about here?
Oh Lord. So I don't know what people are doing these days, but so there was a video on TikTok that recently did numbers of a individual wanting to cool off on a hot summer day, and they decided to do so by sticking their foot into the Splash Mountain River while the ride was in motion. As they say, keep all your limbs in the boat at all times. Clearly, this did not apply to this individual. So,
At least he didn't drink the water. We moved up.
It's something.
Did we though? Did we?
I mean, that's a way to lose your foot. Like
100%.
How stupid do you have to be? Come on.
Drinking water is just internal damage, whereas like you lose a foot, you're gonna scar someone. Because I don't know if you drink that, you can deal with that at home on your own time. But if I round a corner and I see a foot floating in the water, that's gonna mess me up pretty bad.
I'm pretty sure that whatever you do to your insides with that water is kind of equivalent to when I have lunch at Pecos Bills, so it's fine. It just works either way.
Damn, you hate Pecos Bill?
No, I don't hate it. That's the problem. So that's about it for that one. Just a guess being gross. But we weirdly have a special edition. Dave, we have cast member edition of Beware Our Guest.
I know.
Tell us about this. So rare.
That video is amazing. It's at Disneyland Paris, and it was somebody was shooting a video of a guy who was proposing to his soon-to-be fiance wife in front of the Disneyland Paris castle, and he was doing it on it was probably a performance platform or like a somewhere that's
stage.
Like
it was
a
the
stage area. Yeah, it was, and right as he pulls the ring out, this cast member runs by, grabs the ring, and runs off, going, "Nope, nope, nope! You got to come with me!" Like pulls him off,
Can't
and it's
do it on
like
stage.
Like I sort of understand, right? It's not you don't want everybody suddenly going, "Oh, I want to stand over there," but there's ways to handle that and still let this thing happen. Yeah. And it was really tacky, and so Disney's already apologized for it and said, they want to make it right, and they've reached out to the apologize to the couple involved and offer to make it right, and then they regret how it's handled. Who knows what happened to that employee? I mean, what do they do at Disneyland Paris to
you cannot touch me, I'm union.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Or they just take away their wine. So
my wine.
He just took Peter Rice's job, actually.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was, the video's incredible, and like,
oh, it's kind of worst. It just makes me feel
terrible.
awful.
It made me angry watching it. I was just so mad. As a former cast member, it's like, what are you thinking, buddy? Number one, as a human, you don't grab a ring box out of someone who's on a knee.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, that's a one-way ticket to, knuckle sandwich. Like, don't do that.
They call Disneyland Paris a lawless land for a reason. Like, they do not give a single fuck about your relationship. You are not supposed to be up on that stage, sir.
It's
true.
Leave.
There was so there was two sides to the story that I was seeing on Twitter, which was like one defending the cast member and one defending the couple. And for me, like, I kind of I'm in the middle, because I feel like for the cast member, he probably saw it as a dangerous situation. Like, as a guest, you don't know that stage, you don't know if it's stable. Like, something could have happened where that guest could have possibly like gotten injured. Could it have waited for him to like tell them to get off stage and like have their moment and then move on? Yeah, absolutely. But I think from the cast member's perspective, I think maybe he was definitely taking his job a little too seriously.
100%.
But it's that fear of losing your job as a cast member for like the smallest of things. Like, it happens it's so often that it happens that people lose their job because of the guests that like who did something. So I think the guests were definitely ridiculous for going up there. They could have proposed in a different area, but I think the cast member was also 100% wrong in this. So
yeah,
I think everybody's at fault.
Yeah, it's just the wild thing is, if that cast member waited 10 more seconds, 20 at most, this wouldn't have been a story. They would have proposed, smiled, walked off stage, and that would have been it. But
right, he could gracefully say, "Everybody,
exactly.
okay, now off the stage."
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Be like, let's take your photos over here. Like, I have a better view. It could have been handled. Just touching guest stuff is like a big no. So I don't even know how.
Especially, you don't know how much that ring costs. It would have been like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, to be honest, this is the best thing that could have happened to that couple, because Disney's
right.
If they're going to make it right.
It's free honeymoon at Disney.
I know of a $110,000 trip around the planet that could go on.
There you go. Well, maybe for their honeymoon, Disney will let them have Mickey Mouse and food for their guests, and certain things won't be a problem. And that is our final Beware Our Guest segment, which is also going to lead us into a slight discussion about Disney adults. Dave, what has occurred? It's become quite the drama.
So there was a meme that went around, a post that went around that's been taken down. That was a user who on Reddit who said that she's a 28-year-old bride and her 30-year-old husband, and they had drawn ire from wedding guests for their wedding, which they held at Walt Disney World, for choosing to spend their catering budget at a Disney wedding on an appearance by Mickey and Minnie instead of food. And so they got right, and just reading that aloud, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, they got dragged, and I'm like the last thing with Sarah, I'm kind of halfway like, look, they were clear about it on the invites, right? That's
true.
I think.
Well,
they said, right?
She says she told everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And so hey, it's their wedding, it's their money. Let them spend what they want. And if Mickey and Minnie make them happy, great. At the same token, would I expect to have, a smidgen of something to eat or drink at a wedding or a reception? Yeah,
just some cheese,
please.
A little crackers, something.
Some juice box, a Capri Sun, something. Yeah. But of course, this opened up the whole Disney adults discussion again. And even NPR did a thing, which was like, they really lowered yourself, NPR, for that kind of clickbait.
Ooh,
but they
tomato.
They did have a good article done by one of the Pop Culture Happy Hour people who talked about being a Disney adult and what that actually means to them. So there was this other art, because I had the same thought. I was like, what the heck, NPR? And then they had this other kind of counter, which I thought was nice. So
the most clapbacks were from people like, you never criticize sports fans like this, like
100%.
what, where it's just, we know that argument, right? But the biggest thing to me is not even that. It's not even the tribalism of fandom and what you choose to spend your time and money on as an adult and what people see as is okay for you or not. It's that Disneyland was built for adults. Disneyland was built for adults to bring their kids. It's not for children.
Yeah.
It was
night at Disneyland.
There's a date night in the 50s.
Disneyland.
I mean, Walt's original statement was, I wanted something that, I could do with my kids. And so criticizing it like adults aren't, and then that devolves into, well, if you're an adult without kids and you're going, you're part of the problem. And it's like, great. I don't.
Well, then let me be a part of the problem.
Yeah, right.
Can you afford kids right now?
Yeah, right.
I can barely afford the 3 cats and dog I got in the other room right now. You want me to birth a child? Do you know how much that costs in this economy?
Yeah. So it's
100%.
just round and round, and they become the punching bag all over again.
Well, and it was not very helpful that someone who needed to sell a book about Disney and religion came out and was like, well, you see, these people are maligned because it's very much like a religion. Here's the thing, though. She's kind of right.
Yeah.
Like, as churches dissolve, like, people get kind of weird. They're like, why are Star Wars people so, like, crazy and like all about canon? And I'm like, oh, they're just the Sadducees of 2002 or 22. Like, this is nothing new. This is nothing new. We've just changed the text, and there are certain people that go to Mecca every year, and that just happens to be Disney World. And she's not wrong. I just think that it was not helpful in trying to then bring in like the religious aspect and there's iconography and
I heard one defense of that or saying that doesn't hold water because Disney's a big capitalist corporation, and I'm like, and religions aren't.
Right, like,
and Joel Osteen is poor.
Holy Land shut down. You can't go there anymore. So.
Do you know how much it costs to go to Mecca every year? Like, there's packages, people, a silver package, a gold package, a platinum package, and it can cost you like just the bare minimum $6,000 just to go to Mecca, Saudi Arabia. So like,
the
let's
Mega
not
Mecca
sit here.
package is amazing though.
That's more than Galactic Star Cruiser.
It's expensive, but you know what? It does include the ticket, the visa, and a 5-star hotel. So I'm not gonna, it's something. It's something.
Now that's an experience I'll pay for.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
take out the sort of the tenets of a faith and look at it from a structural standpoint. It's like church is about community, and Disney fans have made a community for themselves, and there are subsets within that. There's the there's the Disney gangs, and there's the the bloggers, and then there's the foodies, and just let people enjoy things. This doesn't affect your life. Why are you criticizing them?
I think like for me, like, I'm relatively new to kind of like the Disney like vlogosphere and podcasts and everything. And I mean, I gotta say, everyone I've dealt with in this world, in this universe of podcasts and just like video people, everyone has been amazingly friendly and positive, and it has so much. I mean, like, there might be some snarky people every now and then, but for the most part, like, I've had the opportunity to meet people. I've been watching videos for years now, and it's like, oh yeah, now I'm like buddies with some of these people. And even like Dave, I watched an interview with Dave through another podcast that I listened to, and just kind of cold called him on Twitter, and now we're buddies. And it's like, it's such a warm, welcoming like sect of people that it's frustrating that people kind of crap on it, but it's like, the Disney fan isn't really going to be an aggressive person. These aren't people who are going to be like, pissed off when you call them like, oh, you're soft because you like Disney. Like, yeah, I kind of am. It's like, they're not going to fight back. But it's because it's all about love, and it's all about, like, enjoying stuff and having these memories of being a kid. And to me, theme parks are art, and that's how I approach it. Like, as I've grown, my perspective on theme parks has changed from like, oh my gosh, fluffy characters, to now I see, something like, Diagon Alley, and I'm like, this is incredible. Like the architecture and the art and this moving, there's millions of people go through here, yet it keeps the charm. Like, things like that, like, that's what I appreciate of it. And it changes, but you learn to see different aspects of it as you get older. And I think that's the cool thing about growing up and being a theme park adult or a Disney adult, whatever you want to say.
I think when it comes to like that whole comparison to religion, of course, there's going to be fundamentalists and extremists like in this community.
We have
obviously,
Epcot purists for a reason.
Yes, yes. So it's like, and it kind of gets annoying. The Disney adult discussion is just so tired because it only happens on Twitter. Okay, it does not happen in real life. Like it's literally just like you see one crazy person do something, and then you're going to define an entire community or group of people who like going to a theme park by one crazy lady who doesn't want to give food to her guests. Like, the rest of us are going to serve food at our weddings, okay? Like, we're not going to be like that. So I just feel like when it comes to Disney adults, of course, there are the crazies, but that happens in every community. And that's okay. Like, so what if I want to go spend money at Disney?
Well,
pay my rent.
Be honest,
I
don't think that was real. That whole scenario, I'm 1,000% I'm willing to bet money that
if you have a wedding at Disney, can you really not have catering? I don't think that's possible.
Yeah,
no, you have to have catering.
Exactly.
That smelled fishy.
That's why I was like, really a venue. First off, when you look at I've looked at this because I'm trying to get married, but so I know the numbers.
Some real subtle hints, Victoria.
The math was not mathing with the numbers that they gave. It just wasn't. And you have to have catering if you do a reception. I know the numbers. So I was like,
and even if it is real, like those Disney weddings are like 30 minutes max because you have to get in and out. So like, how are you eating? Like, you know what I mean?
Those same locations are where the receptions are.
Yeah.
And depending on you're only there for like 15 to half an hour. Like you pay for time.
Yeah, I think the most is half an hour you get them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by the time you get your meal, so the whole reception's over. So like time to go home.
So everyone, time to go to Casey's. That's what we're all our receptions at Casey's. So
Casey's.
Honestly, why not?
The Disney adults also just know where it's at because it's like we go have fancy cocktails and then ride 100%. Roller coasters. So we win. Sorry.
Seriously.
I'm mad about it.
Yeah, I think there's this mix up between I don't know, everyone hates the Instagram model. Like everyone hates the sort of all self-obsessed. And I think that there is certainly like any other area, there is a group that's like that inside of Disney who just take selfies all day and whatever. But like, I just like Mark Davis drawings and like I like history and like, it's hard to it's you have to explain to people kind of what Disney adult you are, because it's like are you because oh yeah man, like I met people oh man I love Disney, like I love drinking around the world, and I'm like I mean I like doing that. Do you like what do you think of this? And they're like oh I haven't ridden that, I don't know, I just like drinking around the world, man. It's like okay, we're not the same, this is not the same community, like
we're in a different tax bracket.
Yeah, that too, 100%. So when I see someone with 4 beers and like a one of those Japanese headscarves they've bought, I'm like, all right, we're different kind of Disney fans.
Or the people wearing like those Raiden hats you get in China. It's like, oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Please don't
with
do that.
I'm her Mickey should like, or is it like I'm her Mickey, I'm his Minnie?
My Minnie,
yeah. Or I'm spoiled, I spent too much money shirts. Like, okay, wow.
The most expensive day ever.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, gross.
So tired.
If you're buying a shirt off Etsy, I mean that's a different level.
But you know what? Those Etsy girls, they have some nice designs. Like it's really nice.
I have more Public Disney shirts than I have regular Disney shirt, like real Disney shirts, because I like the niche. So yeah. And you know what? In the end, if it wasn't for the Disney adult community, there would be no Rat Castle. I would not get to talk to you lovely people. So that's a nice little It's a Wonderful Life thing to tie it up on. We're all in this together. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. So
clap your hands.
Jack, before we end here, where can people find you online? What would you like them to see or hear? What's going on with Jack?
Yeah. If you want to find me online, I'm on Twitter. I'm Jack_P over on Twitter. That's where I ramble about whatever. If you want to listen to my podcast, Annual Pass, which Dave has been a part of, it's anywhere you get your podcasts. We're Annual_Pass on Twitter and on Instagram as well, which I can't believe that I managed to get those handles, which was great.
No doubt.
But yeah, also roosterteeth.com. That's the parent company. So if you go there, we post the videos there, and also youtube.com/annual pass. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun and just getting to talk about theme park stuff, and it's great. We the show's been good. We've just crossed our year mark. We added a new host to our show. So we have my one of my oldest friends, a guy named Jeff Ramsey. Him and I started Achievement Hunter together. He's kind of the older curmudgeon type guy. He sort of had a religious experience we'll go back to it. He had a religious experience at Disneyland right before the pandemic hit. And so during the pandemic, we were looking for content to make, like, what can we do from home? And is like, when do you want to start a podcast? And I kicked out this idea of a theme park podcast, and he bought onto it as sort of the everyman, and me sort of dragging him into the fun world of theme parks. But we also just added a new co-host, BK, and she's awesome. She's younger, and she's like knows everything about social media, and she lived in Florida for a while, so she's on my level as far as enthusiasm. And having the two of them against me now as antagonists has been a lot of fun. We just recorded our first episodes all together today, and they were great. But annual pass, grab it anywhere you listen to your podcast after you finish listening to Rat Castle.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, 100%. I think we would all recommend annual pass. Check it out. So, gang, Rat Castle is produced by yours truly, Nathan Hartman. Please consider subscribing so you don't miss an episode, and tell all your friends, please, oh please. If you leave a review, you certainly can on any platform. We'll read 5-star reviews. We'd love to have them. You can check our website out. It's at ratcastlepodcast@podbean.com. And you can find all the links to everywhere you can find us. And you can also send us questions. We are happy to answer any questions. You can send those questions and find all those links at bit.ly/ratcastle. Now, grab your belongings and exit to the left.
Will you stop this foolishness?
What foolishness would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?